Derek in Lakeland, Minnesota. Good morning.
Good morning, C-SPAN. Good morning, America. So I just wanted to say thank you, C-SPAN, for having the CNN anchor on, because over the last 3.5 plus months, we've gotten to see the exposure of how the Fourth Estate has completely been burned down. Brian, do you believe in polls?
I do believe in polls, yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, the last poll that I saw from a reliable source was that in 1970, let's talk about Walter Cronkite for a second, the United States believed that the media was giving them real factual information. A new poll just came out that said it's completely the opposite. So 80% believed in the media in 1970, and now 20% does, so 80% doesn't. So when I look at that, I look at this as very unreliable sources. And you guys always talk about how many times Trump has lied. I've calculated that I think with your chyrons, I don't know if there's any journalists left at CNN, but I know that, if I were to estimate about 300 different, distortions or misinformation that we get out of CNN, and you have to watch them in the airport, which is harsh. But if you added all that up to 46 months, it comes out to be 300,000 plus distortions of truth. So my thing is that you guys, this is how low you'll go, is that you went out and you made lies and you defamed a child. And then you had to settle out of court to pay this child for distorting information about this young individual. So I would say, if anything that's happening at CNN and anybody who buys your book, it's really just one of those things that is dividing our nation. And I don't believe in dividing our nation. It hurts our great nation. And so CNN is really the enemy of the truth, and that's my opinion. Thank you.
Brian Stelter.
I'm grateful for the call. And I know that you're not the only person that feels this way. There has been a process of radicalization that's happened in this country with media bashing that is absolutely unprecedented. 20, 30 years ago, conservatives talked about media bias, and there were some really valid points to that critique. It is absolutely true that lots of journalists are based in New York and Washington. They're based in big cities. They have liberal leanings. And mainstream newsrooms are built to make sure that bias doesn't seep into the news coverage. And yet sometimes it does. I absolutely acknowledge that. I think it's different to talk about things as if they're enemies. No American is an enemy of another American. No news outlet is an enemy of America. And to say that, I think, does damage. But here's my challenge to you, and I say this from a place of respect because everyone has my email address. I'm at bstelter@gmail.com. Go on to CNN.com, look at the transcripts for my show. If you go to CNN.com/transcripts, go through and look for what the lies are and then point out the specific lie. And then we can have a conversation about what is the claim of a lie. Because as I said a few minutes ago, I think accountability is absolutely critical. In order to win back trust, we have to be accessible and accountable. We have to be on programs like this one, taking calls and hearing from the public. But here's the one point I would make about the poll about trust in media. I think everybody trusts some form of media. It's just that what's happened in the past few decades is we don't trust the same form. So some people trust CNN, others trust Fox News. And I think what's exacerbated this phenomenon is a daily dose of media bashing on Fox, where stars like Hannity and Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham essentially tell viewers not to trust anything but Fox. I'll put it this way. Fox is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week ad for Fox. So on CNN, we try to promote local newspapers, try to promote diversity of media. I don't always see that on Fox. But I'm not here to pick on Fox. I think the point about trust in media is crucial. There's definitely been a polarization of trust. It's happened especially on the right, where there's incredible distrust of media. That's partly fanned by Donald Trump and by his aides who rail against the media and call the press the enemy. I hope that this is a chapter in American history that is not the new norm. I hope that folks will be able to see in the future that the press is imperfect, but trying to report the truth about what is going on in the Trump administration. And when it comes to these polls, we need to use them as a challenge. Journalists in newsrooms at the New York Times and CNN, it's a challenge every day to try to be better listeners and try to win trust back.
You write in the book about being a kid, being in the studio audience of Crossfire back in the day.